Anyway, now let's talk about a city that is not so great. New York.
In the morning.
Concrete jungle where dreams are made of, where our friend Ole went and duked it out with Eric motherfucking Adams. She apparently fucking ripped him. I saw clips of this. Ole. She fucking ripped him.
Breakfast Club.
Yep, and we got a special guest in the building today. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor
Mayor
of
Eric
New York
Adams
City,
is here.
Eric Adams.
And
Good
we
morning,
have
Mayor.
we also have lawyer and political commentator Lauren
right.
here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor. What's
How you
happening?
feeling, Mayor?
Good. You know, even before we get into the conversation, I was with Jordan the other day, my son, and somehow your name came up.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a group of young people in the room talking about politics. It's amazing how so many people are into politics now. And
Amazing.
they came up with saying something about, there were people saying that how you were trying to push Trump. And so Jordan pulled up this video, one of your shows, where you broke down each time you were talking about what was wrong about his race.
Absolutely.
And just broke it down piece by piece. And Jordan said, Dad, you know what? Truth doesn't matter anymore with folks. People don't care about truth.
Nobody cares about
they
the
don't
truth.
care about
Nope.
facts. Facts no longer exist.
I've never pushed Trump. I actually do the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we are in a generation where everyone gets up in the morning, look on social media, and whatever's on there, they identify it as the facts.
The headlines.
Exactly. No one goes into the body of the story. Everybody's just, well, you know what? This is what the headlines say, and that's the reality of it. And so it was like an eye-opener for him of how I said, Jordan, for over and over again, that one moment took away all those years of me saying, have your own facts. Don't let anybody define for you. You define for yourself.
That's right.
You know, and that's the power of this microphone. That's the power of media. Putting those facts out. If we don't control the message will control us.
We got a lot to talk about today.
A lot.
Your city. So
Yes.
today we reported earlier about congestion pricing, right?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that? I think it's gonna cripple New York City. You got a lot of people. The tolls already high. It's $17, I think, for George Washington, $11 for the Midtown tunnels. Parking is extremely high, and now getting into the city, it's gonna hurt a lot of people to even drive in the city, and people are scared of the subways. You know, with everything been going on, people getting pushed into the train stations, crime, and people are scared of New York City.
That's a lot. Let's unpack. Let's do the first one first.
Right.
What's your thought of the
You've
congestion
been holding
pricing
on
happening?
to a lot.
I have.
You've been holding on to a lot. So, but let's break it down for a moment. Let's break it down in pieces so we can really understand it. First, let's deal with the stuff about people are scared of the subways. When I became mayor, no one wanted to be on the subway. We got over 4 million daily riders. I was talking to one of my guys. I was talking to a sister the other day, and she said, "You know, we have about 200-300 crimes happening on the subway system. We have 6 felonies a day on our subway system out of 4 million riders. Look at those numbers. Our subway system is a safe system, and we put in additional 1,000 officers to do the high visibility to deal with the reality, because safety is not only felt, it's perceived. So if those 6 felonies, we got to get rid of. We're clear on that. But people are back on our subway system. But when you deal with specifically congestion prices, a lot of people don't realize these are the city streets, but we had no authority on it. Albany passed the law and turned it over to the MTA. This is the MTA's baby. They should have allowed the city to be able to control how congestion pricing was done. So that $15, we were able to fight to get $100 million to deal with the environmental impact in the Bronx. We were able to fight to get those who are shift workers to get a discount, those who make less than $50,000 to get a discount. But this was a bill that came out of Albany.
So you don't agree with it, or do you agree with it?
No, I agree we got to deal with something with the congestion in our city, but you don't pass on the cost of that on low-income New Yorkers or those who have to come to Manhattan. You may have to have go into your chemotherapy, and this is the doctor you have to go to. You should not be hit over the head because of
people that live in the area. They're saying that people that actually live in the area, when they drive, if they got to drive uptown to the doctor or they got to drive, they get charged too.
But I'm not feeling people that live in the area. Central Manhattan, south of 60th Street, has the best transportation system on the globe. You got crosstown trains, you have south and north trains, You have buses that go across town. There's no place else on the globe that you have the greatest access to public transportation than people south of 60th Street. So I'm not feeling them. If they're saying that, we don't want to pay, you know what, you need to get on the train. I take the train, so you can get on the train. I'm talking about low-income New Yorkers should not have to carry the burden of that. And we ask to have more and a greater input and the shaping of that, but we don't. People don't often realize we're creatures of Albany. Albany passed the laws. We have to implement the laws that are down here.
Would you get on the subway?
Yeah.
I think you're right that there is a difference between perception and fact and how people feel about safety and the way people feel about the subways. And I think it's your own rhetoric about the subways that has a lot to do with why people feel scared, despite the fact that millions of people ride the subway every day without incident. But you've continued to fearmonger about crime in the subways. You've added 2,000 police officers, despite the fact that you've acknowledged that the subways are not that dangerous. And I think you're right. And poor New Yorkers should not be the ones who bear the brunt of this, but they will if they already have the subway being turned into a place that they have to fear, that there's a National Guard, that there's a hyper-visibility of police, that they're trying to stop people with certain records from even using them, and now you have this congestion price. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, let's go before. First of all, I would love to give me the quotes on my rhetoric because I'm lost on that. Can you give me the quotes?
Oh, that you fearmonger about the subways?
Yeah,
you've consistently done that since the day one of your administration. One of the first things you did was add 1,000 officers to the subway because you claimed that the subways are unrideable. You and Hochul did this and said how dangerous it is, and you recently did that when you deployed the National Guard.
Sister, but that wasn't my question, Queen. My question was, what was my fear mongering? What did I say?
You continuously say, I could point to a number of videos and quotes and everything from you, but you've said repeatedly that the subways are dangerous, that New York is dangerous. You complain about crime relentlessly. So what I'm saying to you is, if you are saying that New York is the safest city, it's one of the safest big cities in this country, which is true, and you're recognizing that the subway stations are, in fact, not half as dangerous as they're presented to be, I'm saying, how do you reconcile how your rhetoric has played into people's fear?
Okay. And not even just rhetoric, I would say the actions, because she's right. If you tell us
which is
that
different,
safe,
which is different.
But it's the same thing, though. You put 1,000 police officers in the subway, 2,000 police officers in the subway, that don't make us feel safe. We think something's wrong if you're doing that.
Let me peel back again, because you got to always peel back this stuff, because oftentimes how you're depicted in the media that I don't control is how people interpret you. I didn't put the National Guards in the subway. The governor did.
I know, but I know what you said.
But you said, Eric.
You stood with Governor Kathy Hochul and you co-signed that decision. You did. And I'm not saying this as someone who's following social media. I'm saying that as an attorney in the city and an activist who follows everything that you do.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. Because then you realize how I turned the city around if you follow everything I do. You realize
I would say no, but we could get to that next.
Yeah,
Loosen up your tie, man, Adams. It's going to be a long day.
Listen, and I enjoy every moment of it.
That's right.
Because this is what I do.
Right.
When you come with a serious history, if you follow everything I do, you know how long I've been doing this. And you know what my record is. So let's peel back what you just stated. When fear is perceived and felt, that's what fear is. So no matter, as I shared, that we have 6 felony crimes a day with 4 million riders, if people feel unsafe, when we get in the subway system, I ride the subway system, and I talk to commuters, and I say, what are you feeling and how do I help you with that fear? They say, Eric, we see more visible uniform officers in our subway system. We're going to feel safer. We got it. Oh, can I peel
You can talk. You can peel it back.
Eric Adams is a meme mayor. Olemi's a public defender. She's incredible. She's great. She has her own YouTube channel. Eric Adams' assessment here is, of course, incorrect from the jump. His whole point is like, oh, well, people are afraid of crime. People are afraid of crime. Not recognizing that, like, a major part of the reason why people think that there's, like, this incredible amount of crime that's happening in New York is a consequence of how much motherfuckers like him are talking about how bad crime is all the time and how they have beefed up police presence. He's a cop. He is trying to give as much back to his boys as he possibly can. Okay? That's it. That's his whole shit. That's his whole shtick, is like taking money away from everywhere else and funding the police further. Even though, ironically enough, the New York Police Department is like incredibly, incredibly expensive. Olemi's also basically the Eric Adams expert. Yes, the formative Eric Adams expert, pretty much. Both because she combats his shitty policies on a daily basis, in her own professional career.
We we got it that the numbers are down. We got it that we're back on the subway system post-COVID. But when we see, this is what the public is saying, when we see the visible presence of a uniformed officer, we feel safer. Now, you may say, Eric, I don't want to see a visible presence of a uniformed officer, and that's cool, but that's not what the overwhelming number of New Yorkers are saying.
And I'm saying to you, the New York City comptroller, Brad Lander, recently put out a report finding that 50% of the city is disappointed and does not feel safe based on your rhetoric about the subways and your over-police presence.
Okay, well, sister, first of all, that's not what it says based on Eric's rhetoric. That's not, you keep using.
No.
They didn't say, did they say based on Eric's rhetoric?
Do you want to talk about based on your specific?
No, sister, I'm going back to what you said because you're an attorney.
They
you deal
have.
with facts. Did they say based on Eric rhetoric?
They have. The city is, they have multiple reports. The New York Times, the Gothamist, the city comptroller, and the Federal Monitor who's tasked with making sure that NYPD and Rikers are in compliance with the law have both submitted reports saying that since you became mayor, there's been a return of stop and frisk, that there have been over 15,000 stops, 97% of whom have been on Black and Hispanic people. A fourth of those stops and searches have been unconstitutional, and they've yielded very few results.
Now let's peel it back. Eric Adams, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, testified in federal court that the federal court judge stated, based on Eric's testimony, we are going to rule against the police department. We were dealing with 1 million stops a year when I was with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. My advocacy is what turned it around from that 1 million stops a year. Look at the...
Dude, Eric Adams is so funny because I've talked about him before, but maybe you guys don't know his background. Like when he was running for mayor, the NYPD was they were very mad about it because he literally is like, when he was in the NYPD, he was like, oh, they're racist. Like the NYPD is racist. Why were they racist? Because they didn't have enough like Black people in positions of power. So he basically was like, he is like ironically the type of person that conservatives think leftists are. They use like real social justice to like promote themselves into better positions of power, into higher positions of power, which is kind of what he did. Like he was never against like policing or like the racist practices of policing, but instead he was more so against like how racist police were to Black cops, I guess. And of course, you know, that's not enough for the fucking Sergeant Benevolence Association. Those guys are fucking absolute freaks, right? Like, so they were like, how this guy is gonna ruin the NYPD. Meanwhile, he's giving them like gift baskets, basically.
Numbers right now.
I am looking at the numbers.
My advocacy and showing how to do policing correctly, because it's not that you want to eradicate proper police practices, you must make sure they do them right. And that is what I have been able to accomplish in this city, taking over 13,000 guns off the streets of the city of New York, who the victims are Black and brown people. When I go to community meetings and talk to community residents, they don't tell me, Eric, we don't want more police. They say, Eric, we want our police doing their jobs correctly. And that is what I'm doing.
The federal monitor, who is tasked with ensuring that NYPD is following the law, conducted an analysis.
Came under who?
Conducted an analysis that happened 8 years ago, but they're still here monitoring what you're doing. And they said that you have brought back stop and frisk policies that are worse than they saw even during the Bloomberg era. But more importantly, they analyzed the neighborhood safe.
Show me that.
I could show you. The report is available, and I know it's been available to you because your spokesperson has commented on it. They did an analysis of over 10 precincts.
You can't keep putting out
10
stuff
different
that's
precincts.
factual.
It is factual. There's a federal monitor reporting to Judge T. Swain on it and presenting the information. They said that, yes, listen, let me finish so you can peel it back. They conducted an analysis of 10 different precincts, and of the stops of 10 different precincts, they found that 97% of them, by the way, of the neighborhood safety teams that were disbanded in 2020 because of their disproportionate abuse against Black and Hispanic people that you revived, they analyzed 10 of those different neighborhood safety teams and found that they're conducting 97% of their stops on Black and brown people, and a quarter of them are unconstitutional. That's what the federal monitor said, not me.
Yeah, and at the same time, let's be clear on this, because what you're giving the perception of, this is a federal monitor that came in long before I was mayor. Can we agree on that?
Yes, they monitor NYPD, not you specifically. You're the mayor.
Right. Number two, I have been the mayor for 2 years and 3 months. We've had a tradition of over-policing for generations.
And they said it's worse now that you're here.
That I fought for. We had issues of over.
Yeah, he's like, I fought for that because I like it. See, he's admitting it. That wasn't a misspeak. It's like, listen, this is a tradition of over policing that I fought for. Do you understand?
Policing for generations that I fought for. We acknowledge what my history is in this place. So 2 years and 3 months, we are turning around, not only over policing, but we're turning around the crime. Because when I came to this city, we had a 40% increase in crime. And most of that crime, Black and brown communities. Black
You
and brown
became
communities.
mayor after a global pandemic in which there was...
Dude, here's the thing. He is doing exactly what right-wing reactionaries do very well, which is, one, say that, like, I'm cleaning up the metro station because rich people don't go on the subway. It's actually for the poor people. It's the poor people that are, like, being hurt by, crime that's happening in the subways. And when you actually look at crime that's happening in the subways, you realize that, like, as far as how big the subway network is and how slammed it is and how much people use the subway stations, like, the amount of crime that happens there is marginal, right? It sounds insane to say it like that. It sounds like I'm out of touch, but that's the reality. Okay, empirically speaking, when you look at the actual evidence, like, the crime being talked about is infinitely larger and infinitely greater than the actual crime that's occurring. And in a way, to deal with this, like, crime that is occurring, that is apparently a massive problem, they've basically created the vibe, the attitude that crime is a massive problem. Okay? But the greatest way to package that is by being like, well, I'm doing this for the fucking working class of the city. The 6 felonies a day. Over fucking millions of rides a day. I'm doing it for those poor people that, meanwhile, you could improve those working class individuals' lives infinitely better by funding the social safety nets of the city and specifically funding the infrastructural projects of the city, especially making the metro stations nicer, adding more lines, improving the infrastructure, ensuring that, like, there aren't so many delays. These would legitimately save New Yorkers' lives and would make their lives better overall. But he won't do that. He only wants to fund the fucking NYPD because those are his boys, the boys in the blue.